Hello, and welcome to Roundtable, State Election Edition. We are talking all things politics today. I'm your host, Stuart Sines.
And I am your other co-host, Holly McKibben.
Today we are highlighting a few of the pressing topics circling around Colorado's upcoming election. For the next 10 minutes, we'll be discussing the candidates' amendments as well as the propositions being presented on this year's ballot.
Our overview of this year's ballot will hopefully relieve some of the pressure during this election cycle. There's plenty of information to cover, so let's get started.
With Colorado's race for the governor's office heating up, both candidates are digging deep into their pocketbooks in order to ensure close margins this November. As of the most recent election filings, both candidates have received donations totaling a whopping $29 million, making this the largest funded campaign for the governor's office of all time. Democratic nominee Jared Polis is seeing major dividends early as his estimated campaign contributions exceed nearly $13 million. With a 7-point lead over Colorado State Treasurer and Republican nominee Walker Stapleton going into the final week of campaigning. The polls are still too close to call, but both candidates understand that Colorado isn't a blue or red state, rather a purple state catering to the moderate approach of Coloradoans. Stapleton draws a strict line between him and Polis as it comes to the Medicare for All, opposing universal health care. Despite their differences, either incumbent is highly qualified to take office.
Another close race here in Colorado is the House District 50 campaign. Rochelle Galindo, the Democratic candidate, is up against Michael Tiener, the Republican candidate. Galindo, a lifelong Greeley resident, is focusing her campaign on jobs, education, and transparency with constituents. Tiener, an Iraq veteran, is focusing on healthcare, education, and the role of government. Galindo supports Proposition 110, an initiative that would authorize $6 billion in bonds to fund transportation projects. It would also raise state sales tax in order to repay the debt. Tiener, however, supports Proposition 109, an initiative similar to 110. It would authorize $3.5 billion in bonds. Instead of raising state sales tax, the debt would be repaid using the state's general fund. Election Day is only 7 days away, and it's important to make your voice heard. Our field reporter Caitlin has more information on polling locations, how you can get involved in order to go out and vote.
Thank you, Holly. Election Day is just around the corner, and it is important for people to be involved. If you'd like to be involved for the election, here are some ways to do so. If you are not registered to vote, please visit Weld County Government website, www.weldcountygov.com, to register. Be sure to have your identification card and driver's license with you. If you are registered to vote, you will have already received your ballot through the mail. You can fill out your ballot and mail it back to the city clerk, or you can take your ballot to any poll station and drop it off. There are 2 polling stations in Greeley. One is located at Weld Training Center, located at 1104 H Street, and the other one is located at the Greeley City Hall, located at 1000 10th Street. Both locations will be open from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Be sure to arrive early to vote because there will be a lot of people standing in line. Also, do not forget to bring your identification or driver's license because you will need to prove your identity before you vote. For UNC students, the University Center will have a polling station from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Students, remember, your student ID is not the correct form of identification. Please use your identification card or driver's license. If you would like to volunteer for a political campaign, you can visit the Democratic Party office located at 8109 9th Street, or you can visit the Weld County Republican headquarters located at 831 11th Street. Both offices open and close at 9 a.m. through 5 p.m. For more general information, please visit www.ballotpedia.com. I appreciate you having me here on your show today. Back to you, Stuart and Holly.
Thank you, Caitlin. This year's ballot contains amendments for 4 propositions and 9 amendments. The differences lie when it comes to amendments and propositions is that amendments is a proposed change to Colorado's Constitution. For an amendment to pass, it needs 55% of all votes casted. Once it becomes law, no one can change it without another vote of the people. A proposition asks voters to approve a new state law and needs a simple majority of 55% to 1 vote in order to pass. Once a proposition becomes law, state lawmakers can change it. Whether it was the people or the politicians who brought it to the attention of the voters, it's important to know what yes and no means when casting your vote. Holly and I have keyed in on the pros and cons of the 4 most heated discussions revolving around this year's elections. The first is Proposition 110. 110 suggests raising the Colorado sales tax from 0.62 to 3.52 over the next 20 years. However, banking on the increase in population size, The revenue would be directly funding the maintenance and development of Colorado's infrastructure through the year 2039. The negative impact of 112, on the other hand, is it does increase taxes, but it also relies heavily on borrowing money through the sale of bonds, creating a disadvantage for existing residents for the next 20 years.
A yes vote on Amendment 73 supports the creation of a tax bracket for individuals earning more than $150,000 per year. It would also raise corporate income tax. Revenue generated from these tax increases will go to the Quality Public Education Fund. According to Megan Sponsler, the Chief Financial Officer of District 6, if the amendment passes, District 6 schools could see roughly $38 million. Although the amendment could make a large positive impact on schools, it will raise taxes for some residents.
If Proposition 112 passes, residents will be relieved knowing their homes and businesses won't be at risk of being overrun by developers. Proponents of 112 say this will keep vulnerable areas safe from oil and gas developers. However, according to Colorado's Oil and Gas Conservation Commission, 80% of non-federal land would be excluded from development, impacting jobs across the state, not only in oil and gas, but the surrounding towns that reap the benefits of the development.
A yes vote on Amendment 74 supports an initiative to require that property owners are compensated for any decrease in property value caused by state laws or regulations. This amendment ties into Proposition 112. There's talk that if both measures pass, oil and gas companies could file claims that the setbacks from 112 have decreased the value of their minerals. Although property owners would be able to protect their property, Amendment 74 is very broad. It is mainly criticized for being too vague and opening the door for many legal battles between property owners and local government. After this word from our amazing sponsor, we will come back with Madison Burns and Alana Estrada, who will be walking through the most prominent and important propositions and amendments on this year's ballot.
Hello, I'm Austin Sack, and welcome to Do You Want to Be Cool? Today I'm going to teach you guys how to make a paper airplane so you can have lots of friends in school and be cool like me. First step, grab a piece of paper and you're going to fold it completely directly in half, like a hot dog style, not hamburger. So you're going to learn it to look like this. And then you can take your top right corner, fold that guy down, make a nice point at the top, and take the other side. No, wait, we're not done yet. We don't have time.
Thank you for staying tuned in. My name is Alon, and this is Madison, your stat analysis. The first proposition that many people are concerned about is Proposition 110. Some background information on 110 is that it is a proposition to increase taxes. This tax increase would raise the state tax by 0.62%, an increase of that size from 2.9% to 3.52%, is in order to fund statewide construction until January 1st of 2039.
Another amendment that will raise taxes is Amendment 73. Amendment 73 will raise taxes on corporations and people that make more than $150,000 a year. Currently, the tax rate is 4.63%. If Amendment 73 passes, it will raise between 5 and 8.25%. A 55% majority vote is required for the approval of Amendment 73. It will raise about $1.6 billion for public schools. Special education will receive $120 million. English language will also receive $120 million. Gifted and talented programs will receive $10 million, and preschool funding will also get another $10 million.
Proposition 112 is an initiative statute on this ballot this year. The proposition holds stricter regulations for new oil, gas, and fracking projects. The minimum distance for oil and gas development area is 500 feet from a new home, 350 feet from outdoor areas, 1,000 feet from high occupancy areas. Proposition 112, if voted for, would move every new oil and gas development to be located at least 2,500 feet from any structure, bringing up the minimum distance by at least 1,000 feet. Weld County currently sits on the biggest pocket of underground oil and gas reserves in the entire United States. Because of this, Weld County is the #1 provider for oil and gas in Colorado, providing 89% of crude oil production and a third of all natural gas production in the state. The passing of Proposition 112 is predicted to cause a lost revenue of $141 billion in oil and gas production for Colorado by 2030. In addition to that, 147,800 jobs are predicted to be lost over the next 12 years. Jobs not only in oil and gas, but those in business directly and indirectly associated with the industry.
Amendment X deals with the definition of industrial hemp. The Colorado Constitution defines industrial hemp as the plant of cannabis and any part of the plant, whether or not growing, with a delta-9 THC concentration that does not exceed 0.3% on the dry weight basis. The federal law defines industrial hemp as the plant cannabis and any such plant, whether growing or not, with a delta-9 THC concentration of no more than 0.3% on the dry weight basis. Voting yes on Amendment X will remove the definition of industrial hemp from the Colorado Constitution and instead requiring that the industrial hemp have the federal law definition. This industrial hemp definition was added to the Colorado State Constitution by Amendment 64 that legalizes marijuana in 2012. Industrial hemp is part of the cannabis plant that contains lower levels of THC. The product that contains hemp are textiles, fabrics, yarn, rope, fiber, plant, construction, installation, cosmetic, personal care products, food, beverages, and natural supplements. Now that we have covered some of these statistics to keep your eye on, we'll send it back to Holly and Stuart after this commercial break.
Yes, we're still here, folding paper airplanes. Welcome back. All right, next step, take your other side, fold that guy down so it looks like this. Fold your guy in half, fold your other side down to this side so you get it looking like this. Flip it over to the other side, fold it down again. You probably guessed it, flip it, and fold it. Now, if you have followed all of these steps correctly, your paper airplane should look like this guy right here. That's our show. Enjoy.
Thank you, Alana and Holly, for the wonderful information you just gave us. For more information on polling locations, candidates, and in-depth analysis on the election, go to www.weldgov.com. Click on the election tab in the top left-hand corner.
Election Day is November 6th, and with only 6 days left, be sure to do plenty of research and either fill out your ballots or visit the polls. Get into the habit of becoming politically active. This year brings many opportunities for change in Colorado, and your voice matters.